Of course, one of the big things that happened due to the COVID pandemic was, of course, the loss of our holidays, the loss of any travel, the loss of going anywhere, really. For us personally, our first trip we missed was April for my birthday. We were supposed to be going to Snowdonia National Park. We had a cottage, but luckily we've actually just booked the same cottage the same week, but for 2021. So let's hope we can perhaps do that this year now.
But no, we've missed out on that as well. April 21 is not going ahead.
Another trip we had booked that we had to cancel completely was our big American trip. We usually do a big American trip every year. And for 2020, our plan was to fly into Seattle from London Heathrow. I've written it down because it was quite a comprehensive trip. We were going to Seattle to start with, and then we were staying in Des Moines. We were then moving into Oregon, and we were going to Astoria, Portland, Medford, and Bend, and Boise. Then we were moving into Idaho and going to Salmon, Missoula in Montana, Spokane in Washington, and then back to Seattle. So a big circle. 3 weeks we were going for, staying in each of those cities and towns for maybe 3 or 4 nights each, doing the touristy things, the sightseeing. We hire a car and do our own thing. We had to cancel all of that, and luckily we did get most of our money back. We've lost some of it, but in the scheme of things, we just wanted to have the whole holiday cancelled. Another holiday which was cancelled, we'd booked a cottage in Norfolk in the east of England. We had a cottage with a swimming pool and a hot tub. We were going with our son and daughter-in-law and our 4 grandchildren. We were going to have a lovely holiday, first week of the school holidays in the summer. That had to be cancelled completely. And thing is, with children, it's difficult to book things too far in advance. So what we did, we just used the money for that holiday, the deposit that we'd paid, and we just moved it onto another holiday for Mike and myself. And during the summer, when things were lifted a little bit, when the very strict not going anywhere and not mixing in the very first lockdown was lifted, and during the summer, sort of late summer, we were able to go to places. We were able to go to eat out, and lots of measures were taken to sanitize, keep things clean. We were encouraged to eat outside. But we did manage to go out a few places. We had lunch out. I think we had lunch out once, actually, for the whole of 2020. And the measures taken in the place where we were very good. But we took the deposit from the big holiday that we should have had with the grandchildren. And we had a cottage in the New Forest, just Mike and I. And it was it was self-catering. So we could do everything in the cottage ourselves, cater for ourselves, do our own food. It was very safe. We felt very safe. And it was nice to go somewhere. We went in September. The weather was still fairly pleasant, but not warm. But it was nice to actually get out of our immediate environment and see something different, which was the only thing we did do.
And this was the cottage that Mike and I stayed in the New Forest. It was a thatched cottage and something I've always wanted to stay in, so it was a bucket list item.
And actually we've not been able to make any plans, not for the foreseeable future. whilst on TV they're advertising, book flights, go here, go there. We're not sure what's going to happen. We're not sure whether if we book something we're going to be going anywhere. So we've decided to wait and we'll see. And if we go anywhere, it'll be something that we book probably on the spur of the time, and we'll just go wherever life takes us, really. But we're not making any firm bookings for 2021, not at the moment, not until things get a little bit more settled, and until, of course, the vaccine is rolled out. We're aware now that there are vaccines available, and the local hospitals and doctors will be rolling this out on a basis of like the elderly and the people in vulnerable situations, and care workers will be having it first. But it will be eventually rolled out to the whole of the country. I should imagine the whole of the world will be getting a vaccine between now and the summer.
Update: we had our first vaccines on the 1st of March 2021.
But the big thing that we missed out on was travel, holidays. And I know a lot of people missed a lot of holidays. And I know that holidays, hospitality, hotels, they have suffered greatly in this COVID pandemic. I think perhaps that's the industry that has suffered the worst. Very sadly, that so many people will have lost their jobs, lost their incomes, and been caused a lot of personal hardship, which is very sad for anybody in that situation. One thing that we were able to do, and this was before the first lockdown, so this was in March. One of my sisters and my cousin, we all live in the same town. We wanted to go and see a show in London, and I think it was, I want to say the 11th of March. So we knew about COVID, but nothing had actually happened yet. Nothing had been shut. But anyway, the three of us, we got tickets to go and see Wicked in the London Apollo Theatre. We went up by train, and it was a little bit weird because there weren't a lot of people about, but nobody was yet taking precautions. Nobody was yet wearing masks or anything. Anyway, we took the train up to London. When we got up to Victoria, we found a restaurant. We had a lovely lunch, bottle of wine, and then we went to the theatre for the afternoon. We went to the matinee, and then after the show, we went and had drinks in London, and then caught the train home. Little did we know that was going to be the one and only outing of its sort for the whole of 2020. But anyway, I think I've got a picture of us in the theatre waiting for the show to start. It was a good show, and I would thoroughly recommend, well, any show in London is a good day out. But we did do this one day out just before the lockdown, towards the end of March. Good job we did, because that was it. We also missed out on other things, basic things, like visits to the hairdresser, visits to the beauty salon, things that we take for granted. A hairdresser, if you were a hairdresser, or if someone in your household, in your bubble, was a hairdresser, my goodness, you were the luckiest person in the world. Because to be able to have your hair cut, have your nails done or something was amazing if you could get it done. I myself have gone from, in the last year, a really short haircut. It grew and grew and grew, obviously, because I couldn't get to the hairdressers. Now I've just let it grow a bit longer. That's all you could do. You just had to make do and get along with things as best you can. No hairdressers, no barbers, no personal care or anything like that was open. That was hard. But you just learnt to get on with it. I'd get the scissors out, I'd cut my fringe. And that's how I got through it. I'll show you some pictures of how I changed. Because I would think my last haircut was probably around Christmas. And then, as I say, by March, everything was shut anyway. So my hair just got longer and longer. I resorted to clips, hairbands, all sorts of weird things, but got through it. Another little adventure. But it was funny. It was funny.
And here we are, the really short haircut where I started around Christmas of 2019, and then in the spring of 2020 it's getting longer and longer, losing its shape. And by this photo I'd had a haircut and sort of tidied up a little bit, and this is where I am now, and this is March 2021, really long hair.
Sadly, we also missed out on celebrations, celebrating our birthdays, anniversaries, special days with family. I think both Mike and mine's birthdays we spent at home on our own because everything was shut and we couldn't mix at all. Towards the summer, when we were able to mix with other families in small groups, we did get together on a couple of the grandchildren's birthdays, but we just had barbecues outside. We didn't really go into each other's houses. And of course, Christmas, again, we missed out on mixing with the family for Christmas. But it's those kind of things that make you realise how much you miss your family, because it's on those special days, it's on those birthdays and holidays that you want to be with your family. And it was just really sad that for most of the holidays, most of the things that were precious to us, we couldn't share them. But that's just another thing we had to deal with, like you have to deal with everything. And at the end of the day, we have to put a positive spin on things because we have to get through this. And that's just a few of the things that we missed out on. Like everybody, it was very sad. Thanks for watching the video though. Watch out for the next one. Bye.